IAS Chief Secretary to the Government of Nagaland. Our guest speaker doesn't require introduction as he is well recognized figure in our state. Indeed, he is also the Development Commissioner of Nagaland and a very true gentleman. Sir, we are truly blessed to have you in our midst. I also would like to acknowledge the presence of a very special guest in our midst, Engineer S.I. Longkamer, who was the first president of FONSESA, first chairman of NERC, and retired chief engineer of our department. So we're feeling blessed with your presence. It is very heartening to see a lot of young officers, senior officers, and HOD in our midst. I'd like to especially welcome the new members who have joined this humble association with the abilities to input new energies for the growth and expansion of FONSESA. You are chosen to be part of our association because of our mutual passion. We need you as much as you need us. Our last biennial conference of FONSESA was held in the year 2019. Unfortunately, due to pandemic and various other commitments, our general conference in 2020 could not be held. Today, I am glad we're all gathered here to mark 2021 biennial conference of FONSESA. Through this conference, I'd like to request all of you to engage in an open, constructive discussion about our association and other agenda which will be laid in our next business session. I guarantee that this conference will be productive and worth your precious time. Therefore, once again, a very warm welcome to all of you to this 2021 biennial conference of FONSESA. Looking forward for the interesting session. Thank you. With these few words, I would like to call.
It's not a matter of spelling or grammar, but it means a lot between these two nomenclatures. So during those days, 80s and even early 90s, there were a plethora of engineering branches and departments being created. And then they were all different services, and it was creating a lot of headache for everyone, including the government and amongst the members of the engineering fraternity as well. And it was at that such a crucial stage where amalgamation was spearheaded by FONSESA. And during that time, a lot of our members, through the persuasiveness and negotiating skills of FONSESA members led by our former president, many members voluntarily even gave up their seniority in order to streamline our service association. And that streamlined the departments today. And I think that has enabled all the engineering departments to work more cohesively and more effectively. And thereby, I think we have saved a lot of headache, even for the government. Because at that time, if we had gone on with those different service rules and different rights, then even the courts and the legal battle could not have managed to resolve these issues. So we are indeed thankful for those pioneering work. And so since its inception in 1985, FONSESA has indeed progressed a lot and has come a long way. And it has been the platform under which the engineering fraternity of the state has always rallied around. Whenever we faced any stormy seas, it has been the beacon which has given us hope and direction. It has guided us and it has inspired us. And as mentioned, we are indeed grateful to our FONSESA pioneers who felt the need and established this much-needed institution for the engineers of the state. FONSESA is affiliated to the Engineers Federation NTV, in which FONSESA is also an active participant. The NTV is taking up with the government of India the issue of setting up of an engineering commission, which FONSESA also supports. A distinctive sign of maturity and progress of FONSISA is exhibited by the preparation of the constituents' respective vision documents. The Association of Power Engineers was the first one off the block when it released its vision document during the World Engineering Day last March. And we are proud that today the Water Resources Department Association and the Association of Engineers Geology shall also be releasing their vision documents today. One of the first priority that this team, who shall be handing over the baton today, were the vision documents. We are inspired that 3 of our constituents has now done so: Power, Wharton, and AOE DGM. And we expect and hope that the rest who are still on the job shall be able to complete the same very soon. During the 21st century, one of the most decisive factors that often determines the outcomes of geopolitical struggles and the balance of power is technologically driven. Now, when we say technology, there's no geography in technology. In the statement, it's seemingly even a misnomer, but it's not. Though its explanations are not given here, as it deserves another topic. Till the 20th century, it was largely driven, the geopolitics, by natural resources such as land, oil, minerals, and even crops such as tea, cotton, rubber, etc. Colonization by the European powers were simply manifestations in the attempt to control these resources. If the geopolitics of the 21st century is technologically driven, engineers should invariably be in its front and center.
Far away is a place it's hard to see, but only in his heart stands still and let God move. Stand still and let God move.
J. Alam, Chief Secretary to the Government of Nagaland, to kindly accept a bouquet as a token of love and respect.
It's indeed an honor for me to get this opportunity to address you all. As we all know, engineering discipline, and maybe along with it perhaps medicine, these are two professions which attract the best minds and the brightest students opt for the engineering streams for their studies. So I can say that the best minds of Nagaland are actually present today in this hall, and I believe this hall is small. The FONSISA membership, I was told they are about 500 members from SDO and upwards, and beyond that I don't know, there may be other engineers also. Are there? Yeah. So engineers are actually the brightest minds which are available in a society, and as the word engineer itself denotes, you are there to take us forward, to move us forward on the path of progress and development. You provide us the technical solutions to many problems that we as a people or the state face, and you help us in improving the quality of life. So these are the contributions that you have been making. I am talking in general terms. Engineering profession, as the Google Baba tells us, is very old, more than 5,000 year old. Those days, people did deploy, which we think that today those are primitive technologies, but those days they were actually the seminal innovations which actually helped us move forward. So I'm really happy that I'm here among you today and getting this opportunity to address. It is always such a pleasure to be in the middle of such great minds. Coming specifically to our government setup, because for good or bad, we do not have any other avenues. We do not have any other economic sectors to employ engineers. Government is the biggest employer in the state, and all of us are part of the government. And government is a large organization. It is the largest organization actually. I'm sure all of you in your engineering days must have studied the complex systems. So government is also a complex system. It has many parts, but in our own small way, we serve this complex system, and our contribution actually comes when we make improvement, we bring about some innovation that helps us in, improving either the product or the process or the procedure. Product will be the service that we are rendering. Processes are the processes that we are following in rendering that service. And procedures are the procedures that we follow. Your codes, your manuals, your standards, your norms. So that is how innovation takes place, and that is how we contribute. I remember in our times, we used to read about bureaucracy. Now, bureaucracy is also a complex system. It is part of the government, and the father of modern bureaucracy, Max Weber, he used to say that bureaucrat is a cog in a machine. And in a satirical way, he also said that the cog is always trying to become a bigger cog in the machine. So bureaucrat is a cog, but in the present context, for the engineers, I can say that you are the engine. You are the engine that takes us forward, that moves us forward, and makes us bring about improvements in our lives. In Nagaland, our engineers have achieved many milestones. When we compare Nagaland of say 50 years back and the Nagaland of today, the difference is quite stark. So when we see the big picture, we have so many, roads, bridges, buildings, electricity systems, water systems, and so many other fields. How this has been brought about? This has been brought about by your contributions. Government might have provided resources here and there, but it is the technical expertise that actually helps us implement it. So thank you for your contributions. We know we have achieved a lot, but a lot more needs to be done. And working in the government is not easy. People from the outside, they think that we are in the government, so we are a very privileged lot. Our life is very easy. But it is definitely not true. All of us here, we know what kind of pulls and pressures we are working in. There are definitely pressures, and to navigate through those pressures requires a lot of tact, skill, and a lot of time also. These pressures are perhaps natural in a representative democracy. We have elected representatives who have certain promises, certain obligations to their people, and they want things to be done yesterday. But as a bureaucracy, organized bureaucracy, as a government system, we work with rules and regulations. So sometimes that leads to clashes. And there is pressure on us to bypass certain rules, take shortcuts, and deliver. So what is happening? In the process, sometimes when we take shortcuts, when we bypass rules, we compromise on the quality of our work. We compromise on our efficiency. We compromise on our effectiveness. So these are the pitfalls that we have to navigate through. I know most of the time we are able to withstand these pressures. And I know when we put our point of view across, the people, the decision makers, they understand. And a middle path, most of the time, a middle path is found, which we call optimal decisions. They are optimal because we have found the golden mean. We have found the middle path. The problem comes when some of us succumb to pressures. And sometimes we become active partners in breaking the rules. That is where the problem is. And this problem actually becomes more difficult when we do not take uniform action. As a fraternity, for example, I mean, it applies to all different fraternities. I am not singling out the engineers. Even bureaucrats have the same problem, where you see, I want to follow the rules, and I am telling my superiors that we have to go by this line. But my own colleague, he gives a different advice. He says that this shortcut is possible. It can be done, and I am willing to do it. So that is where the problem comes. When we don't follow the rules uniformly, when we do not follow the procedures, these kind of issues come up. Then obviously the decision maker will ask me, why are you showing me so many rules? If it is possible to do this way, do it. If I don't do it, what happens? I may be given some disincentive. And most of us are human beings. We don't like disincentives. We don't like punitive transfers, for example. So we succumb. But ultimately, I think time to time, if we stand united, work uniformly, and follow the procedures uniformly, I think there is still a way out. We can still withstand. And if we withstand, I'm sure that it leads to better outcomes. So, one strong takeaway in today's conference, I'm sure you are having your subsequent sessions also, deliberate on this issue and think about it, and maybe as engineering fraternity perhaps you can show the way to other professions also, to the government as a whole. Let us make a beginning. So this is one part. The other part, of course, there are usual issues. As I said, 500 engineers. If we calculate that each one of you has an average of 15 years of experience, which is like your middle of your service. So cumulatively, you have a cumulative experience of 7,500 years. 7,500 years of experience. And that knowledge, this is the collective knowledge which is available within the state. This knowledge has to be put to good use. It should be shared and it should be, applied to some common problems. What does it entail? It entails that we should not be working in silos. Then only we can make use of our collective experience, our collective expertise. But this problem is there. I know engineering profession is not the only one where this problem is there. In my HOD's meeting, we keep talking about convergence. Convergence is also about breaking silos. Working together, working in teams, sharing knowledge, sharing experience, and finding solutions. So, in engineering also, since there are so many different specializations, there may be different pools of knowledge, but it is always good to have, knowledge sharing, experience sharing, because when you have different perspectives, different disciplines, sometimes it gives new insights. Sometimes you actually, like a civil engineer, supposing I am looking at a problem from a civil engineer's perspective, I may sometimes not see the things which an outsider can see. And that's how you see the best companies, they want to have cross-disciplinary teams in their companies. And they make those teams, they make them work on common problems, and that is how innovation takes place. So, we need to break these silos and we should be working more in teams, sharing experience, knowledge. This also, in concrete terms, if I may say, we have created too many divisions, too many cells, and then small groups are being deployed. I do not know. We need to really think about as to whether that is really leading to any improvement in our efficiency, or it is leading to better outcomes, or we need to have a different system.
So itu aji FONSESA, Federation of Nagaland State Engineering Service Associations la program de Chief Secretary Jayalambra tai itu vision document ekta release kuri dise. Itu document la opore apni olop koi dibo.
Oh, I actually till 1988, 2018, our department was known as Irrigation and Flood Control. But in 2018, on 2nd July, we were named. Our department was designated as Water Resource Department. So since then, we have been trying to come out with some vision about what the water resources to kiaze. Kohina idu like the vision document though. We were trying to come out with that, and today we could fulfill that vision. Actually, we are a stakeholder of water. So since we are named as Water Resource Department, it is not that we are going to encroach in other activities, departmental activities, but this is one reason where we are supposed to be the one of the stakeholder of the resources of the state. And actually, by doing so, the main vision is the roles that we're going to play is water budgeting, one, water allocations, equitable distributions of the resources for better planning, management, and uniform distributions of the resources to various sectors of this, involving various stakeholders. So the attempt of this vision has been a success because our Chief Secretary has inaugurated this our conference on where we have been a part of this. So with this, I thank all of you. Thank you.